Hello, and welcome to My Gate in the Mid-South. Today, I have decided to stray from writing a blog post to vlogging. Give that a shot. What happens? Who knows? So, I know I had been promising that I would write about Chief Doublehead of the Southern Cherokee, but it was really laid on my heart, as good Southern people will understand, to talk about another great man who passed away 5 years ago, and just kind of let the blogosphere, vlogosphere, I don't know about Charlie B. Barnett. First off, I wanted to say that he was one of my mother's brothers, my uncle. And he was maybe, I hate to say favorite, but most close relative. He would come over to our house every day, every week when I was a child. He shaved my grandfather, who was blind, so he couldn't shave, so my uncle would come over and shave him and do whatever was necessary that my mother couldn't handle. He just a really top-notch guy. He entered the Marines in 1954. At the very end of Korea. So, and he went through and was in Vietnam, ended with a Master Sergeant degree. One of the best stories I ever heard talked about was my mother said that he got leave. And he was heading back to Ohio or Kentucky, whichever one my family was living in at that time. And he was hitchhiking from North Carolina, I think. And he was going, and he only had $1.50 in his pocket. Of course, this was the 60s, where $1.50 could get you a long way. But he was hitchhiking, and this was the beginnings of the cultural revolution, the civil rights movement, things like that. And my uncle, he had stopped at a way station, a stopping point, and that car, he stopped at a waypoint on the road, probably a gas station or what we would call a travel center nowadays, whatever that, was. A place where you could stop, get some food, get some fuel, and go. And he met a young African-American gentleman. And remember, he only had $1.50 in his pocket. And he started talking to this African-American gentleman, and he said he just gave the guy, he was another Marine, another military officer. I don't know if he was Marine or Naval or Army or what. But he started talking, and before he left, my uncle had given him $1.10, or close to everything he had, before he left. So, and when asked why, Charlie, why would you give this guy like almost all your money? And Charlie said, well, 'cause people will give me a ride. I'm white, he's black. People will give me a ride. They wouldn't give him a ride. That's one of my favorite stories of Uncle Charlie. Another one is a little more personal to me. And alright. It's a little more personal to me in that when I was 18, my mother had gone to live in Tennessee. My mother and my stepfather, Jim, who's another story that I might talk about here. But they went to live in Tennessee, so I'm all alone in Ohio, where all my friends were. I thought this is a great idea. I had a 1992, and this was 96 or 7, so 97 probably. And I'm driving home from work one day, and I had to stop and get gas, so I went to the Dairy Mart, which was a convenience store / gas station in Lorain area, Ohio. And I stopped there, and I picked up some things, and I had been working at a grocery store. This grocery store required me to be able to break down boxes and all kinds of things. So I had a pocket knife in my inside jacket pocket. Right in there, just clipped, and no big deal. So I stopped, I got my gas and cigarettes probably. By the way, don't smoke. It's bad. Bad. I picked up some cigarettes and gas and random odds and ends that I needed, and I went and got back in my car. So I'm driving over the Basquill Bridge in Ohio, in Lorain. Maybe I can get some pictures and show you. Anyway, I'm driving over the Basquill Bridge, and at the end of the bridge, there's a stoplight. And the stoplight, as I'm coming toward it, turns yellow. And of course, I'm going, well, I know my brakes aren't the greatest, so I'll go through this. So I go through, and then I see lights flashing, and I was like, oh, jeez, I got pulled over. Crap. So I pull over, and I leave my hands at 10 and 2 on the wheel, and they were probably shaking about that much. And I sat there, and the police officer came up and said, I'm stopping you, the whole 9 yards. He said, you ran that yellow, that red back there, so I have to stop you. And at that point, I wasn't working at a Brakes for Less. By the way, if you're in Alabama, Tennessee, that area, stop in at Brakes for Less. I only do that because they're my in-laws. And anyway, I go there, and I told them, well, my brakes are kind of getting bad, so everything's weird. And then I see another cop car pull up behind him, and he gets out of the car, and he starts screaming, he's got a knife, he's got a knife, and he's pointing a gun at me. I look in my side mirror, and I see this cop just pointing a gun at me. Just, oh, he's got a knife. There I am. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just left my hand. I couldn't move them there. I was frozen with fear and panic. I'm going to get back to Charlie B in a second. And, so I showed the cop the knife, and I let him out, and it was just a smidge past legal. I don't know, and they couldn't figure out how to work it because it was a specialty knife. And the next day, they let me go home. And the next day, I called my mom and I told her, well, my brakes aren't working that good. And, I have a problem. So my mom, she gets on the phone to Charlie B. And she tells him about it. What does he do? I drive over to his house. He takes my car in. He's been a mechanic for all these years. And he fixes my car. No word about costing anything. He fixes the brakes and does all this stuff. And, I was young. I didn't know anything. And honestly, I only remembered seeing Uncle Charlie when Grandma and Grandpa were there, but I knew he was around. He was always coming over. And there's the phone. Left off, he fixed my brakes. I didn't know what was going on. I'm a young, angst-ridden 19-year-old, 18-year-old, and he fixed my brakes. And that, to me, was a very special time because I couldn't have fixed my brakes. I didn't know how. And he just brought me into the shop. It was the middle of January. It was cold in northern Ohio. Let me just tell you, it was cold. So what, after that, my brakes worked. I still ended up in Tennessee, but that's a whole different story. And if you keep track, maybe I'll be able to interlace them. But what really hit me, and this again is another personal story, and I don't have the stories like his kids probably do. I don't know. I'm really close with his children. I mean, they're my cousins. How do you not be close with them? Anyway, so my freshman year of college, my first semester, I'm sitting there, I am kicking butt. I am making papers, getting good grades. My future was so bright, I had to wear shades. And one day, it's snowing kind of bad in Tennessee. Of course, in Tennessee, snowing bad is different than snowing bad in Ohio. It had snowed bad in Ohio, in Lorraine, where I'm from. And I was sitting there, and I had my laptop, and I went to lunch, and I checked my Facebook at lunch, and it said, it's snowing bad. Uncle Charlie went out and tried to shovel the snow, and he's fallen. So please pray for Uncle Charlie. My mother put this on as for my brother Charlie. And the next thing I know, I get a call in the middle of my music appreciation class. I'm sitting there, I'm taking names, and Mr. Johnson, Professor Johnson, I don't think he was a full professor, adjunct maybe, but he's teaching, giving a lecture on something. And I was like, the phone rang, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I've got to take this. You know, we're having family issues, and where I'm originally from, it's snowing really bad, or it had snowed really bad. So, and this, I believe, was 2011. And my mom was on the other end of the phone, and she said, "Your Uncle Charlie passed away." I went, and this is where I made a bright decision. I punched the wall and said, "Okay, I'll be home after class." And I went into this class going, I don't know if I'm going to be here, be able to finish out this semester, because I think I'll have to go home. That's when I really felt an urging. I shouldn't blow off the rest of the semester. I should stay here, and Charlie didn't need me to go to his funeral. Didn't need me to go to Ohio. He went to glory. It was my birthday. In 2011, I was 30 something. How many years ago was that? 5. So 33 years old. And I just, you know, it could have been anything. It could have been I didn't want to deal with the problem. Could have been I didn't think. I don't know. I just know that I knew that Uncle Charlie would be better served if I stayed in school and got the good grades. I had a 3.75 that semester. I felt pretty good about it. I feel that did justice to him. Uncle Charlie, he went to high school and they told him they couldn't teach him anything else, so he must have been a smart guy. Charlie, we can't teach you nothing. Mostly because, like everyone else in my family, he's stubborn as all get out. But I knew that he had gone to glory that day. I'm trying not to break up here, so. Which happens all too often. And my mother posted a Facebook post and said, you know, Charlie has gone home to be with Mom. Or some derivative thereof. But I knew. I knew it was okay. He was gonna be fine. I usually smile a lot. Now I'm breaking up in tears. Go figure. But that's only part of the story of Charlie B. As I talked to his kids, my cousin Charlene, who for the longest time I thought was an aunt because she was so much older than me. Anyway, my cousin Charlene, my cousin Stevie, my cousin Wesley, I just wanted to tell a story about my Uncle Charlie. And by the way, the B is not short for anything. That was his middle name. B. I don't know why. I'm sure my mom will call and tell me why they named him Charlie B. But I personally think that's one of the cooler names out there. But this is going to conclude today's video post. If you like it, hit the subscribe button. If you don't like it, hit the subscribe button and the unlike button. I don't know, it doesn't matter. Or maybe it does matter. I don't know yet. This is all new to me. But hit the subscribe button. Go to My Gate in the Mid-South like that. Go to slimshawnee.wordpress.com. Go to that. I'll have all the links in the description below. If you can just give me a like and call it a day. Okay? Remember to hold your family close. And peace and love, y'all.